Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Welcome everyone to episode 103. We are here getting ready for Tech Tactics East in Easton, Pennsylvania. We are actually at the Easton Service Training Center, Porsche Cars North America's distribution area, as well as training for dealer techs and such. We have Manny at the table here, as we normally do. Damon's not with us, but we do have our guest, Rolf Kittlitz, who is a PCA after sales training manager, or actually training instructor.
Technical trainer, yes.
Technical
almost
trainer.
got promoted there.
I almost.
As long as you're going to be
If you get a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I want to shout out to Kathy Lee and HP with Porsche Cars North America, who helps us get this facility here, and all the staff here.
Yeah.
They do an amazing job in preparing for the crowd that's going to come in tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, we're recording this on the Friday and Saturday and Sunday. We have two one-day events, and this is usually their days off, but they come in to help facilitate this event. And yeah, big thank you, because it's they do it with a smile. It's been going on since 2011.
Yeah, 2011. I think we had to skip a few years ago, but we've had I think 12 Tech Tactics East at this facility.
Yeah, and it's a great facility. We've been doing Tech Tactics since 1980, I think, and they were looking for a change. And Paul Greger, who at the time was our liaison with the factory, knew they were building this facility and said, I want you guys to stop by on the way to the Tech Tactics event to check out this training facility. It may be a good alternative. And it was a blizzard, I remember. Mm-hmm. And we drove up here, stopped here during a blizzard, took a tour, and we're like, yeah, this is absolutely perfect. The classrooms are set up because they teach people here. And it had lifts and everything we could have asked for. And, of course, the bonus is they have this huge warehouse with Porsche parts that people get to tour, although there's full pat-downs, I think, before you leave.
Especially when you walk
the warehouse.
through.
Exactly. I'm not allowed into the toy car area.
So for those of you that are watching us on YouTube, you're probably distracted by the racing yellow machine behind us. Tell folks what are we looking at, Manny?
It's the Manthey GT3. And that is the way to pronounce it.
Manthey.
We got that cleared up at Rennsport.
And Rolf, we've got the wheels off, and we've got some contraptions tied to the hubs. What are they?
So Manthey Racing manufactures, in addition to the kit, the track kit for the GT3, they also manufacture an alignment setup with hub stands so that you can corner balance the car and adjust the threaded coilover dampers and springs to set it up just right for the track.
And I see it folds down or compacts into that nice little trolley over there.
Yes. Beautiful case that they ship it in, yeah.
And that's really the reason why we come to Easton. We could go to, honestly, any building for Tech Tactics East, but the advantage to coming here is you see machinery like what we have behind us, and scattered throughout the facility here, you've got transmissions, you've got engines, you've got cars full, as well as, halfway taken apart. It's a gearhead's dream.
So this it was a special thing that we had this alignment machine or kit sent up here. Not every dealer gets this. How does the dealer know when they have to buy it? Is it when one of their customers get the Manthey GT3?
So a dealer has the option to opt in to become a Manthey certified retail point. In order to do so, they need to agree to buy the alignment kit because it's the only way to align the car, as well as they need to send a technician to training so they know how to install the kit and use the alignment equipment.
What's this kit cost? Do we have a retail on it?
The kit for the alignment setup or for the car parts?
Just the alignment setup, the kit.
About $30,000 is the price on the alignment kit with all the hub stands and the corner scales.
Wow.
But this is the exact same kit that they use in the paddock at the 24-hour Le Mans.
Wow. But you can still get this car aligned with a normal alignment machine, or does it necessitate this?
Well, there's an alignment and then there's an alignment. Your average street car alignment is one thing, but when you're setting the car up for a racetrack and having it corner weighted, considering the driver's weight plus the driver safety equipment and all of the fine details of that, to really, really nail it down, we need this kit. It's a time thing. Before we had the access to use the hub stands, to get a really, really zeroed in alignment on a car like this, you would need to first take your corner weights, make notes, lift the car up, remove the center lock wheels, which is an ordeal, make your adjustments on the threaded coilovers, remount the wheels, set it back down on conventional scales, take notes, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Wow.
So the advantage of this kit is, with the wheels out of the way on the hub stands, we have direct access to the threaded coilover adjustments.
Well, let's get back to the training center. Training is a pretty broad word. What really goes on here?
Well, technical training, if that's better.
For whom?
So we have in our training facility here, we have 4 classrooms. 3 of them are technical classrooms, like what we're sitting in right now, the Mosport room, and one of them is a non-technical classroom. So we can do warranty training for administrators. We could do parts manager training, things like that. But the 3 technical classrooms is probably what you're asking about. We cover the entire car from bumper to bumper, from floor to ceiling, in individual classes, where we can take a technician that's new to Porsche, introduce them to the brand, teach them how to say the name right, show them how to use our workshop manual, navigate their way around our information system, and all the way through convertible top class, engine class, alignment class, electrical diagnosis. We teach the whole car.
So who pays for them to come here? Porsche or the dealer or themselves?
Each individual Porsche center, they are free to send their technicians to class. The cost of our training department is built into the point of sale of the product that we sell, the cars. Mm-hmm. So a small slice of every window sticker covers the training cost of the technicians. We don't directly charge the Porsche centers. We only charge them if there's a no-show.
Now, there are roughly, 260 dealers or so? How many dealers are there now?
I'd say ballpark 200 in the United States.
200? Okay.
Maybe another 20 or so in Canada. I don't know the exact numbers.
That's what I was thinking.
Canada typically runs 10% of our volume.
So all of those centers multiply by number of technicians. How many facilities are like this in the U.S., Canada, and how can you get everyone through it, so to speak?
So we do have 3 technical training centers in the United States, here in Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, and Southern California.
Eastvale, right?
Eastvale, California.
Okay, yeah.
This is the only one that's attached to a warehouse. The one in California used to, but they've
rearranged
how they do all that. Yes, when they were in Ontario. Then also a few years ago, Porsche Canada opened a training center in the Toronto area. And so now they have dedicated technical trainers in Canada and a location. We very, very rarely see Canadian technicians, but we used to for the first decade or so. Maybe 10% of our technicians would come through. We'd see Canadian technicians all the time.
Is the Atlanta one at the Experience Center?
So at One Porsche Drive at OPD is where we have our technical training center in Atlanta, yes.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. I knew they were training down there. So when a technician comes through here, do they have to have a couple years under their belt before they get here? They get the basics at the dealer? Because I can't imagine you would send everybody through this, would you?
Well, we used to have on occasion I'd have some guy come in and on their first intro class, like, tell me your background. And he goes, well, I used to wash cars, and so they gave me a job changing oil, and now I'm a Porsche technician. And
oh, wow.
That really, really slows the class down when everybody else has 15 years under the belt. So we actually had to draw a line in the sand and ask the Porsche centers, you must be at least this tall to ride this ride.
Gotcha.
We have some minimum requirements to come to the first class, but we get a lot of brand change technicians. Maybe they've got 5 or 10 years with another brand, so they've got plenty of experience wrenching. They just need to learn about Porsche. So that's typically what we see for the newest classes. We also have guys that have been at their Porsche centers 25, 30 years, and they're a returning repeat technician. We know them, they know us. Always good to see the guys over and over again.
So for one new model, let's say the new 992 when that came out, how many visits would they make to a center like this, or would one visit cover everything that was new about that car?
So yeah, depending on if it's a new car or a completely new car, we might have a 2-day intro class on new technology. We might even have a 4-day intro class on new technology. You can imagine when we launched the Taycan, that's a completely different animal as compared to anything we've made before. So that one was a more involved intro class versus, 992 is a complete redesign as compared to a 991, but there's also a lot it has in common. So it's still not that deep of a class.
You think the Macan? Do you know how long the Macan EV class is going to be yet?
I don't know yet. In fact, I won't even get my training on the Macan until this summer. I would all be in Germany for 2 weeks.
That's what I was going to ask, is the curriculum, do you develop it here, or is it passed down from PAG and then you teach it as is, or do you get it from PAG and you add sort of the U.S. Canadian flair, or?
All of that.
Okay.
Yeah. There are certain things, obviously, that we want to make sure everybody knows around the world. So PAG is covering that. But then there are other things like we might filter things out. We don't need to teach U.S. technicians on rest of world equipment.
Right.
So we don't need to cover that so much. Or we might see something like, hey, we really think we need to spend extra time on this, and so we'll spend some more time in that one area.
So talk a little bit about the hardware that's here. Lots of, obviously, parts laying around as I look around here, but also testing, computers. Do you try to mimic what you're expecting dealers will have, or does dealers try to mimic what you have? How does that work?
So we certainly do have a corporate image standard, and we hold all of the Porsche centers to that. And we try and decorate our training centers as closely as we can to that. In fact, if you look around our shops right now, since you were here last year, we've changed out some of our special tool cabinets because it's a new color and a new format. And so we're in the process of rolling through all of that.
We love going through the tool carts here because they have some very, very shiny stuff.
In fact, we're going to capture this on video and show it later on. But Rolf's putting a special presentation about the special tools that dealers have to buy, because last year he did an impromptu presentation in between sessions, and nothing gathered a bunch of people who are here for technical stuff than seeing all these cool tools that they have to use. But more to your point about it looking like a dealership, when you come up to this building, if you didn't know any better, you thought it was a Porsche dealer.
Oh,
It looks
complete
just like a
CI
Porsche
compliance, right?
dealer from the outside.
We get random strangers who will just walk,
I like
open
to-
the door in the middle of my class. Hey, is this a dealer?
Do you have an allocation that I could put a deposit on?
And I have to direct them to the nearest one over in Allentown, Porsche
Yeah.
Lehigh Valley. It's about a 30-minute drive. Go talk to them. Tell them I sent you.
Wow. So how do you land here?
Well, I'm a lifelong Porsche nut, and I was one of those guys who I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I was a late in life career changer when I finally decided I need to be a Porsche technician. And so I went back to school as a 29-year-old. I went back to go to school, and I attended a Universal Technical Institute for-profit vocational school for the purpose of becoming a Porsche technician. I enrolled in, I applied to, and interviewed for, and was accepted into the PTAP program, our apprenticeship program, Porsche Technology Apprenticeship Program. And then I went and I worked at 2 Porsche centers in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Houston, Texas. And the reason I'm telling you that whole backstory, I've always enjoyed sharing knowledge. Doesn't matter what the topic is. If I know something about it, I like talking about it. I like helping people understand things. When I was an apprentice student in PTAP, my instructor at the time, he said to me, I think you'd be really good at this job someday. And I went, great, keep me in mind.
Oh,
Well, one day my phone rang.
he called you.
He called me and said, we've got an open instructor position. I want you to apply
Is
for
it
it.
somebody I know that was here, or?
No, his name was Jamie Lindsley. He was a technician in Syracuse, New
okay.
York for years, and he trained PTAP from early 2000s until 2008 when we only had one location in Atlanta. He passed away about a decade ago, unfortunately, but like I said, he was my mentor. He and I were good friends. We stayed in touch for years, and one day, he called me and said, hey, you need to apply for this job.
So when you came into the Porsche world, what year was that and what models were on the dealership floors?
As an instructor or as a technician?
Both.
Okay. So here's the funny thing. When I tell you I was only in the dealer network for 2.5 years, you're going to be surprised that I got a corporate job after that.
Oh.
But again, I was a late in life career changer and a lifelong Porsche nut and a wrench my whole life. So between my own knowledge and independent shops, I wasn't just fresh off the street. But I was a PTAP student in 2003. And then I worked in 2 different Porsche stores, and then I came back to become a PTAP instructor late in 2006.
So you would have been.
That doesn't seem
You
that
would have been
long
right
ago.
in the. You would have seen air-cooled cars as
Yeah.
well as
Oh, yeah.
water-cooled
Yeah.
in the dealer.
Right. So when I was a PTAP student, air-cooled engine class was still one of the classes we took, and we were still teaching that to the apprentices as late as 2006.
So I got to ask this because I was with my cousin in California last weekend, who is an automotive savant when it comes to modern day cars, and he wants to get into the business. He's young, enthusiastic. I hear of Universal Technical Institute and the PTAP program. Like, can you share a little bit of advice of maybe if someone's wanting
Sure.
to get into this?
Absolutely. And I'd love to, because we need talent. Not just us, the entire automotive industry, not just the automotive industry, the entire vocational industry. Any
Yeah.
blue-collar trade is hurting for talent these days. So, yeah, I'd be happy to share that. You do not necessarily have to be a student at Universal Technical Institute. That used to be the requirement. But again, we're looking for talent from anywhere. So we have changed our policy. We still run that program, the PTAP program, in cooperation with UTI. But we've now opened up enrollments or applicants to any graduate of an accredited technical school. So it could be a local community college. It could be another for-profit vocational school like UTI. But if they are an ASE accredited training program for automotive technology, and they do exceptionally well, they can apply to become a PTAP student.
I think the exceptionally well is what people who own Porsches want to hear.
Right. Yes,
because I
exactly.
read on the UTI website, it was like the top 1 or 2%, something like that. They pick from. It's like the cream of the crop, basically. They're taking.
Right. And when you say top 1 or 2%, it's actually probably just the top 1%.
Wow. That's good news for us Porsche owners.
Yeah, that's what I read. That I'm like, well, that's keeping in what you would think Porsche would require for their technicians.
Exactly.
So from the instructor standpoint, I know you said there's quite a shortage of folks out there, but the 1% that actually make it into the program, do they all make it?
So we are going to, of course, have way more applicants than we're going to accept for our classes, because
okay.
we're going to hold ourselves to the highest
Yeah.
standards. And we want that of our technicians as well. Now we have expanded our PTAP program from just one location in Atlanta to now all 3 of our technical training centers in the U.S. have a PTAP class, and each class is approximately 6 months. So we have them spaced out so that every 2 months we have 12 new technician apprentices graduating.
Now with PTAP, who funds those students?
So that one, the Hiring Porsche Center pays out of pocket for their tuition, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And it's pricey,
Yeah.
but it's worth it, because they're going to come out with exceptional knowledge of our information system. They're going to know where to find the information, which is always a challenge. They're, of course, green. They're apprentices. They're new. They're light on their mechanical aptitude, or I shouldn't say aptitude. They're light on their mechanical experience, but they probably have great aptitude to keep on learning.
And you get a chance to mold them early.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to the folks that have already been in the dealership. How many dealer folks come through this facility a year, roughly?
So, depending on the year, because whenever we do new models, it takes time out of our calendar, because we have to go get learned on it. Did I just say that? We have to go.
Yes, instructor.
Hey, I'm a technical instructor, not a language instructor. So we have to go take our classes on it, and that takes time. We also have our certifications that we run the dealer technicians through every year. So as far as classes go, I typically teach a class of 8 to 10 technicians. So I'll see somewhere between 250 and 300 technicians a year
Wow.
in my classroom alone.
Wow. So are the subjects, I mean, because there's so many different aspects to a car, from transmission, engine, and just maybe general knowledge of a model. How are these classes broken down? Because you can't teach a student everything with one visit.
No, absolutely not. We start with our most basic introduction class, which we've now moved to a web-based training. And then we call those general service and repair classes. We want the technicians to be able to find the information in the workshop manual. I mean, I say it in my classes all the time. You'd think just changing oil is a simple thing. But it's a good thing we write directions on it, because some of our cars have 2 oil filters. Some of our cars have 4 drain plugs.
I was about to say, number of drain plugs, how to properly fill,
and how long to let it drain, and how quickly you can fill.
And a lot of these cars now, you need a computer system to reset everything, right?
Correct. So that's the kind of things we're going to cover in our general service and repair classes. Once they have completed that, the next thing we want them to take is our basic electrical class, because everything on the car these days, there's a computer at least watching it, if not doing it for you.
Yeah.
There's very, very little left on any modern car that a human being actually does.
So when they do connect it to the computer, is that also connecting to a network for Porsche as far as downloading data or getting information?
Our most recent cars, for security reasons, we have software in our tester now that when we plug into our newest cars, on the back end, it actually contacts Germany. There's a data exchange of security clearance, and then certain control units the technician can get into.
So
but only after
is it still
Germany has
referred-
unlocked the ability to.
Is it still referred to as PWIS? Because we've heard of PWIS computers back in the day.
So we're on our Generation 4 tester now. So we just call it the Porsche. Sorry, I'm tripping over all the acronyms flying around in my head. This is the
PWIS 4? No.
but we've got a new acronym for it, and I'm tripping over my acronyms right now. We call it PT4G. So it's Porsche Tester 4th Generation.
Wow. And I know those aren't cheap. I remember a dealer saying they had to invest a number of them because they can't just have one and take turns using them. They have to buy a number of them. Those aren't
correct.
cheap.
And we now require one PVIS tester and one 90 amp battery charger per bay.
Per bay?
Per bay. Whether a technician is actively using the bay or not, it needs to have the tester and the charger ready to go. I mean, think about if we're doing a 3-hour reprogram on a car, you're going to plug into the car, hook up a battery charger to it, a power supply.
Oh, and just leave it on and let it do its thing.
And then step back so it can download and program.
Wow.
And if your bay is in the middle of programming and I need to look at an oil level, I can't just unplug yours and use your computer.
And how far back, obviously the new dealerships working with newer cars, that is something that is probably critical to the operation of their service center. How far back in years do cars require you to have a PWIS hooked up for updates and all that kind of stuff? Would that go back to like a 2012 car, or?
We were flashing control units with updated software as early as 996 generation.
996?
At least
Yep.
2005. I remember being at a dealer
Really?
seeing
That early?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I remember having to do DME reflashes, if we had a campaign for some software updates on 996s
I
and
thought it
early
was
Cayennes.
much newer cars.
Yeah.
How much is we're looking at a Taycan. You can't see it on the camera, but behind our cameras is a Taycan. How much of that training is computer or electric? Obviously, the car's electric, but versus the Boxster, the Cayman. It seems like there's more software. Is there a lot of software issues that you have to teach them about, or?
If there are software things, we don't actually need to teach that. It's something that the engineers have figured out. We need to do a software update. They publish a bulletin. They publish instructions. The technicians hit the go button and let the software download.
They're just plugging it in, and the car's telling them that it needs to be updated. Or
Kind of like,
Yeah,
like your iPhone update tonight, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we plug in, the car will tell you, the tester will tell the technician, this car needs this software update. Go ahead and install it now. But as far as what we do train on it, it's still the mechanical parts of it. Can I get the electric drive motor out of it and back in? Can I get the high voltage battery out of it and back in? What safety tests do I need to make sure the equipment works so that a high voltage car isn't dangerous to anybody that's around it in the workshop? So that's the kind of stuff we actually train on the Taycan. The software stuff is kind of light for training.
So how far in advance are the folks trained? You mentioned you've got to go to AG to get your training for the Macan E, I believe.
Yes.
And so that car rolls out a couple of months after your training.
There's no hard and fast rule on what the time split is. It has been as little as a month and a half, and it's been as much as a year and a half between when I receive my training and when we see the car on the ground in the United States for sale to the end user customers.
Now, I'm sure it's probably almost impossible to think of all the different scenarios that are going to happen at the service center after a car is released, right? So how do you kind of build back or put back into the training program things that are observed at the dealerships that maybe PAG didn't think of, or maybe it's market specific and you say, this happens to the cars in our area a lot, but we were never trained on it?
Well, there's a couple ways. First of all, we have an entire department in Atlanta called Technical Hotline, and that's their job is to...
That's a phone a friend?
Pretty much, yeah. Phone a friend.
just for technicians.
Just for automotive technicians.
Can I get that number?
Actually, you can.
Did he do cars? Did he do cars from 1990?
Yeah, I just did a water pump in my E1 Cayenne.
So here, I'm going to blow your mind. Here's a little known factoid. Any independent repair facility that purchases one of our testers and subscribes to our workshop manual is allowed to call TechLine for help.
Really?
They get put at the bottom of the list because they're probably not working on a car that's
You should just
new
say
and
they're
warranty.
not at the first priority. It sounds better that way. Don't say you put them at the bottom of the list.
Same list as your GT3 allocation, sir.
But yeah, you could if you owned your own Pevis tester as an independent repair facility.
Ah.
And if you subscribe to our information system, you actually can get a hold of TechLine. That's possible.
And that's based out of Atlanta?
Yes.
So back to my question. Those are the people that would collect maybe some a trend that's being experienced.
So they're the ones that are going to help diagnose something,
Mm-hmm.
and then the engineers are tracking all of the repairs and all of the hey, we didn't foresee that coming.
Ah, okay.
So we have some bulletins that are written in Atlanta for the North American market, and then also we have the majority of the bulletins come directly from Porsche AG because they're looking at the same information worldwide. So hot climates might see certain things, cold climates might see other things. They're tracking all of that worldwide and processing all that information.
So when hybrids came about, obviously you were training just normal ICE vehicles. Then hybrid comes about. That changes the classroom and subject matters. Did the introduction of full battery electric, was it harder, easier, or the same kind of progression of how do you introduce it into the training program?
Well, we have a graduated technician standing on the high voltage cars, so you would first need to go to high voltage technician training for the hybrid cars, complete that 4-day course, come back for high voltage technician on battery electric cars, complete that 4-day course, and then you're allowed to ensure the car is safe to work on and then do mechanical work, remove and install components. But then above that, we have high voltage safety technicians that are allowed to work on a live car if the need arises.
Ooh.
Without powering it down, and they have to have safety gear for that, 1,000-volt gloves, arc flash suits, and so forth. And then above that, we actually now offer battery repair classes.
So fixing individual cells or components of the battery as opposed to a full replacement.
Correct. So being able to open up a Taycan battery and exchange a battery module and then rebuild and reseal the battery.
From a tech geek perspective, thinking of all the components that are in a ICE vehicle, and then thinking about, yes, there are some seriously dangerous things about EVs. Is it, how would you say, I would say easier is not the right word, but is it easier to train a technician on an EV versus ICE?
Training the technician, I don't know, but number of systems in the car, yes. I was talking with one of our instructors about going battery electric. It's like hitting a big reset button on the auto industry. Think about how complex a car was in 1900.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can see from here, the electric motor is right next to you, and we can see in the other room the ICE engine.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a whole lot of things that could go wrong that I can see. Versus this looks like an iPhone. I think there's one plug.
There's just a handful of parts in an electric car. The most complex part of the electric car is going to be the software and the thermal management system. But we don't have to worry about a carbon canister and purge. We don't have to worry about tank ventilation. We don't have to worry about so many things that we do.
Oil?
Oh, there's still a
some oil,
lubricant
some
in
lubricants.
the gear set that
Yeah.
is going to get serviced, but it's going to have a transmission gear interchange interval instead of like a gasoline oil interval. But the drivetrain itself is really, really simple.
So do you think these EVs, would it ever, and maybe people don't even care, but I'm a DIYer. I think I just talked about how I did my water pump on my E1 Cayenne. It was we have a video on it, and Manny's chuckling over here because I was sweating. It's like a 40-minute job for a technician, but with us recording it and me not wanting to break things, we did it over 2 days.
I'm just thinking how we fudged some tools that we didn't have.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can do that with EV.
Exactly.
Without getting electrocuted.
So do you think EVs will ever be DIY?
Well, there's still wheels, tires, brakes,
Brakes.
steering components, suspension components. There's still, wipers, pollen filters. It's still a car. It still has lights. It still has window motors. It's
There's
a
still
car.
things. There's still plenty of things for you to work on.
There's still thousands of parts in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of working on things, you've got a car running that I have a car that's really been in storage, and it's that gorgeous 914 that's outside.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that thing.
Well, his name is Johan.
Johan, of course.
Yes, my wife named him. I figured since she let me spend the money on him, she gets to name him. So she picked Johan. My wife and I name all of our cars. He's a 1972 1.7.
Oh,
It still
same
has,
year as mine.
Oh, really?
Yep,
Awesome.
72.
Great year. Same year as me. So that's why I bought it.
Ah,
Yeah.
Very cool. We're all 914 owners here at the table.
Running 914 owners is Rolf and
On
I.
this side of the table. Thanks, Manny. Nah.
Yeah, a four-cylinder mid-engine car is the heart of Porsche. Going all the way back to 356 number one.
So along those questions do you think there'll be a lightweight, simpler EV Porsche into the future?
I gave up trying to predict what Porsche was going to do about 20 years ago.
I tried, Manny. I tried.
And I don't make enough money to know that answer anyway because I'm not that important.
Well, this year, the news was that Porsche is going to announce this year whether or not they're going to build a supercar. The one we saw debuted.
Mission X.
Mission X.
Okay.
So you were around when the 918 Spyder came out and the training. What percentage of the not everyone gets trained on a 918 Spyder, I would imagine.
Correct.
Right? So what percentage do you remember of the technicians came for 918 training?
I don't even know that answer because 918 being a very expensive product, we only have one in our training fleet, and I've never even been trained on it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
because
that,
I don't work at the training center that hosts the car.
Is that what we have a friend of ours who's a Goldmeister, Peter Smith, of course, who's
Yes,
on
sir.
Tech Tactics Live. And it seems to me, I'm not sure if this is true or not, that usually they get Goldmeister techs to work on a car like that.
So We only want the best people working on the most expensive cars because accidents get very expensive very quickly.
Sure.
So your career GT technicians, your 918 technicians, we want them to be the guy with experience under his belt, not the newbie. As far as number of guys, well, we required a minimum of one person per store. And the big stores probably have at least 2 technicians, Miami, New York, Los Angeles, stores like that, because they have the volume and they're going to see that many cars.
So the range of cars that are at the dealerships, obviously modern cars being trained through here makes sense. What about the classic centers? Do those mechanics get trained here as well, or is there a separate place for them?
We presently have one classroom in our California Training Center.
Eastvale.
In Eastvale.
Okay.
And it's dedicated to Porsche Classic training, and we have a dedicated instructor. That's all he does is Porsche Classic training. And
Is that Alex?
Yep.
It is Alex. Okay,
Yep. Alex is our...
Yeah, when we were there last time, they had a lot of classic Porsches inside the center.
Yeah, we have a whole fleet of classic
So he's
Porsches.
the only one that does it.
At the present, yes. The classic business has taken off.
Yeah.
And they want to figure out where we can squeeze in another classic training room.
I figured they do it at One Porsche Drive in Atlanta.
Except that they have 5 classrooms and they're at capacity.
Oh.
We have 4 classrooms and some space that's not optimized right now. So they're kicking around ideas of what to do with floor space in this building.
Wow, very cool. Now, how about like body and paint? Because I don't see anything like that around here.
We also have a dedicated collision technology instructor and refinishing instructor, and he's based out of Atlanta.
That's Mike.
That's Mike Kukovica, and he trains in Atlanta and California both. So he's got we've got a classroom in California that is a part-time body shop training classroom. Same thing in Atlanta. And in fact, back to your question earlier on how many technicians can we get through, we last year had in the United States 7 people that do my job.
Really?
We've just hired a new instructor for Southern California to be sort of a spare tire is not the right word because that's insulting.
Reserve.
Thank you. A reserve instructor. So we'll be able to make use of the one classroom when we don't have body shop training going. He can take on some regular service training in that classroom and also cover when another technical trainer is on vacation or something, so we can get more techs through classes.
I sat in on Mike's presentation at Parade, and I was just completely fascinated about what it takes to correctly fix bodywork. What I learned was if I have a newer Porsche and it's ever in an accident, I hope to God it gets totaled. Because, oh, my God, it looks so complicated to get it done right. It also taught me that you better have someone who knows what they're doing, preferably at a Porsche dealership or an authorized body shop, because it's no longer like one type of metal.
No.
It's multiple types of metal layered.
And it might not be metal at all.
It scared me to no end that it's not like my old 964 where you could pull it with the machine and get it back into shape. This was very complicated.
Yeah, the concept of putting a wrecked car onto a frame bench and pulling is gone.
Yeah.
Because the metal, once it has folded once, it work hardens, and if you fold it a second time, it's done. It's done. So,
Makes me also wonder when you were talking about the hybrids. I'm thinking to myself, well, I use an independent. I have older cars. Hybrids are going to get older at some point, and people are still going to be using them. And I just wonder, are these independents doing the same level of training when it comes to safety part of working on a hybrid?
That's a good question, and I get asked something similar to that quite often, but because I don't work in the independent repair facility world, I don't know exactly. But I do know that other brands have had hybrid cars on the road for over 20 years now. They're getting fixed places. Yeah. And I've run across a couple of independent repair facilities that do specialize in hybrid cars.
Because we're talking serious high voltage. It's not not a 9-volt battery that's shocking you. It's
in the industrial world, if it's over 60 volts direct current, it's considered high voltage because it's dangerous, and you need to be trained to work on it. If it's over 30 volts alternating current, it's high voltage, and you need to be trained to work on it.
At high amps, so it's.
And it takes very, very few amps to do a human harm.
Yeah, it's something to think about as cars evolve, and the whole dealership model is changing in some aspects, but the other ones, I just wonder about the independence, how they're going to. I think ICE cars are going to be around for a long time.
Oh, sure.
And but the newer cars, is the guy down the street going to be able to work on something that may necessitate powering down the car and understanding how to do that properly?
Right. I would not expect or want a self-taught person working on the high voltage part of a high voltage car. Right.
Yeah. More importantly, you want them to be safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of phoning a friend, we kind of joked earlier. A few years ago, I remember that you were evaluating some technical information, or not technical information, but technology to help technicians sort of phone of a friend. You call, but they could actually see that whoever you were phoning, you could see what the technician was looking at.
Correct. A few years ago for Tech Tactics, our head of our technical support, Doug House, came up here to demonstrate the Tech Live Look glasses.
Tech Live Look.
Correct.
Okay, that's what it was.
And they had a guy at OPD put them on and walk into the classic shop, and you could read the digitized data matrix code off of a camshaft through the glasses, through the internet, through a 4K television.
So is that being used now, or is it
We're
an
actually
option?
on generation 2 now.
Oh, generation 2.
We
Okay.
we are now using HaloLens to do double duty. We can use that for the Tech Live Look and do web-based training with it.
Could you send a set, or somehow we could have a set, so then I could call our
He's
friend
gonna-
Peter Smith?
He's going to be indexing his cams, I think, is what he's asking.
Okay.
No, that's awesome. Utilizing technology to your advantage, because it just, you can come to a class, you can learn, but like me, I was never great in class and taking notes, and I lose half of it by the time I get home. So being able to throw on a pair of glasses and have someone reaffirm what you're doing and not over tightening or not pulling something that you shouldn't, that's got to be very helpful for a inexperienced technician.
Yeah, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, what's a video worth?
Yeah.
And what's a live feed worth?
In 4K or more.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, just it's fascinating technology, and I know of one particular instance where between emails and phone calls, nobody could figure out what was going on, and then finally the tech put on the glasses, and it was a matter of one of our setups we measure from the fender lip to the wheel center.
Mm-hmm.
One of them we measure from the fender lip to the road surface.
Oh,
And if you do it the wrong way
that's
around,
a big difference.
and if you do it the wrong way around, you're off by 250, 300 millimeters, and the computer goes, no. And Tech Live Look solved it that fast.
Very cool. Well, speaking of tech, let's throw up on the screen. Make sure you head over to PCA.org, and you can sign up for eBrake News, our weekly newsletter, as well as Mart Fresh News and Performance News, dedicated to four doors. Be sure to like if you're enjoying the show. We love reading the comments, and if you have questions for Rolf or anything about this facility, put it in the comments and we'll try to get them answered later. And of course, please subscribe if you want to not miss topics such as this, shows, videos. Please subscribe. We're getting close to that 100K mark. Manny, you want to get into recent videos?
Yeah, so we had two of them that were released. One's we had a correspondent, Axel Catton, go to the Porsche Paris Retromobile obviously in Paris. It's a very good video. I don't know Axel, but I like him. And when I watched the video ahead of time before we released it, I told Damon, I'm like, you know what? This guy's pretty funny. He's pretty cool. And, of course, he's going to an event I would love to go to because it has all these vintage cars, and he highlighted some of the rare Porsches. So, yeah, if you go to the channel and take a look at it, he's very European. And
I will tell you,
it's kind of funny.
From that video with Axel, I spent lots of road trip miles with Axel. What you see is what you get. And I think it actually gets even funnier when you're with him because he opens up even more.
I think one of the comments was, come for the car, stay for the wine.
Yeah. And I think he said something along the lines of, how French is that?
So that was one of them. The other one is a video we captured at the Tech Tactics in Parade just like we're capturing a lot of these presentations here for the membership. And this was Nathan Mers giving tips on how to sell your car like a pro, because Nathan obviously is a car dealer, and he gives it seems like common sense after you watch it, but having someone articulate it in the way that only Nathan can, incredible tips for someone who wants to sell the car, specifically like in photographs that Robert has on the screen. I can't tell you how many times I tell people who call up the national office and say, why hasn't my Porsche sold? And I bring up their ad, and they have one picture taken at dusk,
with the car in the garage,
30 feet away. Yeah. I'm like, well, here's one of the reasons why your car hasn't sold. But yeah, if you're thinking of selling your car, you just want to watch a great video from Nathan, who's a tremendous presenter. Unfortunately, he's not here at Tech Tactics East, but you can catch him what he did at Parade.
What I love about the tips on that video is, most everyone, when they sell a car, they want top dollar for it. But yet it's ironic they won't spend top dollar to present the car well. But if you do, as Nathan will tell you, if you present it correctly, that's the only way you're going to get top dollar for your car.
I was looking at a Volkswagen Bug, because I always think in my head, I want to buy a Volkswagen Bug.
You're still on that?
I know. I'll never buy one, but I still look at them. A couple of them Facebook Marketplace. But one of them looked like this person had not cleaned their Volkswagen Beetle in about 20 years. On the inside, I saw vintage McDonald's wrappers on the floor. And I thought... Did you not think about this when you went to sell your car?
Now, the fact that you can identify a vintage McDonald's
wrapper. You know what they look like, Rob.
I love it, Rolf. You just called him out on
He
it.
He did.
Manny, those aren't terribly expensive. So I could somehow, with the money that I saved on doing the E1 water pump, perhaps we could plan Z this Beetle of yours.
We were talking guy math on the way up
guy
here.
math.
So we looked up how much it costs to replace the water pump on the E1 Cayenne, and how much it costs in parts for all of us to do it on his car. And now he has $1,200 in his pocket that he can spend, right?
I mean,
guy math.
You basically can't afford not to.
Yeah. I know.
I always tell my wife, I'm like, dealer would have cost me $450.
Exactly.
I only paid $60.
We're so good at this. Let's get into the news. First one up is Penske headquarters.
Oh, yeah. So they came out. This is from Porsche Motorsports. The inside look. So, of course, Penske has a shop in North Carolina, and they have one in Mannheim who are campaigning the 963s, and they gave some inside shots. And it's exactly what you expect a Penske shop to be. I think, Robert, if you hit gallery, there we go. It's you could look like you eat from it. That's exactly when you look at that. This is what you expect to see from Porsche, and you would think, well, they can't possibly work on cars here, but they do. It's I've been to a Penske shop, and they do not. This isn't because they had visitors. This is the way it always
much
is.
like here. It's always spotless.
The spotless. Their cars don't leak oil like mine. Beautiful setup. So yeah, if you get a chance, just Google. Porsche Motorsports Mannheim or Penske Mannheim, and I'm sure you'll come up with this story. It's a nice inside look to see what their headquarters, because they're pretty hard to get inside info from Penske.
Your second news item also has to do with the 963.
This is Penske once again announcing they're going to have 3 963s at Le Mans. They're going to try again. It's still going to be an uphill battle with WEC. And so we've got I think we got the secret, especially since we won the 24 hours of Daytona. Le Mans is a different story, because Ferrari and Toyota, Peugeot, they weren't running at Daytona. They were running, going to be running at Le Mans. So there's also Proton is going to have a 963 at Le Mans, and Proton actually has on the wait list for a second 963, hopefully to run at Le Mans.
So, Rolf, you have any background on race and motorsports? Do they ever pull you to do some side gigs at some of the tracks?
When I worked in Charlotte, actually, we would occasionally sponsor a Porsche Club event, and so me and one of the other technicians would go to just be a tech support sometimes. Kershaw, South Carolina. What's the one track?
The Carolina Motorsports Park.
No. East of Charlotte, a couple hours.
Rockingham? Not Rockingham.
Yes, Rockingham. Yeah.
Okay, really?
Yeah. So they did the Roval course out there, and yeah, it's a day at the track. I mean, how fun is that, right?
Rockingham had a Roval.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
This is like a half-mile track, I think.
Sure.
Is it Rock?
I don't know.
Not a NASCAR fan, huh?
But it was good PR for the local Porsche Center because somebody spends what it costs to enroll in a DE event for Porsche Club, and you go there and then you have a sensor
Factory
or something, and then to be able to get somebody back out on the track and let them enjoy the rest of the weekend, put a lot of smiles on their faces.
I would totally go back and say, yeah, I was at a DE and I had factory support.
I always tell people I became a fan of NASCAR when I got to drive Charlotte Motor Speedway with my 911.
Okay.
And to me, I always thought NASCAR was just driving in circles. How hard is it to make left-hand turns? And I got on that banking, and I felt G-force for the first time. You think you felt G-force, but
you haven't felt that.
When your chin slams down in your chest and you slide down in the seat.
Yep.
And I remember after that 3-day event, I went home and I said, I am going to watch NASCAR because this is not as easy as it looks. And I said, if I was just had the grip of death and we were doing a driver's ed, which meant it was all controlled passing, wasn't competition, I said, I can't imagine what it's like with 43 cars.
Right.
Going that close bumper to bumper. So I have great respect for NASCAR, and I became a fan after that.
Same. Driving, I think it was in that same DE at
Yeah,
Charlotte.
Parade. Yeah, we did another
Parade,
one. Yeah.
And never have looked out of the top left of my windshield for that duration at that speed, and then thinking, my rear tires, I hope they are pretty solid, because at this speed, if something happens, I'm just really along for the ride.
But you look at the guy in front of you and you see his tires buried in
into
the
the fender,
and then it occurs to you that your tires probably buried in the fender too. So yeah, it's very cool if you get the chance to drive any track with banking.
All right, speaking of track, we've got Bathurst next.
Yeah, so this is a track I've raced many times on my sim game. It's Mount Panorama in Australia. It, at least on the sim, it is pretty awesome. And from the video I've seen, it's pretty cool. But Manthey won, and this is one of the reasons why their cars are so desirable, because that's the motorsports is they're based. So you've been there,
yes?
They're based out of the Nürburgring, so they're all about track racing. Anyways, Porsche wins overall, and they had a second car that won their class at Bathurst, and they did it under, I'm going to say, a little bit of duress, weather. They had a penalty. It was Matt Campbell, who was a 963 driver, and I think he was on a winning 24-hour team. He was one of the drivers for this car, so good for him.
The next news item really has to do with creative marketing, because I'm not sure how much it helps the people that they're actually putting in cars, but definitely people are talking about it.
Yeah, what are you going to do if you have your normal oversized carry-on that you carry with all your hair care products? Do you ditch that to get a ride in the RS?
I would ditch my hair care products to get a ride in the GT3 from a Delta plane.
Or do you stick it on the back wing and say, don't go too fast?
I will buy another set of needed hair care
I
products.
think our Panorama editor got a ride, not in a GT3 RS, but he got a ride in some Porsche and had some connection.
So at what point do they pull you and say, sir, you don't have to walk on the jet bridge, just take this door, and then there's a GT3 RS waiting for you?
First of all, I would imagine you're not flying coach.
Okay,
it's got to be business at minimum.
I can't comprehend how that works.
I bet you've been in their frequent flyer club for a few years.
You're not boarding last like us.
And are there people, because maybe some people don't want to lose their hair care products, would they decline the ride?
Or worse than that, you're with your wife.
And there's no place to put the passenger. Oh, well, then no, you would send her first, and then they'll come back and get you.
Or you just tip the guy with the wheelchair.
Manny.
It's all the things that came through my head when I saw this. If I was
again, the practicality of it all, really
I love it.
Is very interesting.
You may want it for the Panamera,
but we're all talking about it.
Or Taycan to give you the ride.
We're all talking about it. So
yeah, it was all over the news that Delta, who has a great relationship with Porsche, has this set, and this was actually at LAX. I thought it was Atlanta, but it was LAX.
Oh, it was LAX.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, let's talk about events coming up. We've already packed pretty much and sent our materials down to Amelia Island for Works Reunion March 1st. Registration for Corral and Judge vehicles is closed, but you don't need to buy tickets. All you need to do is pay the parking fee in the parking lot. I think it's $40 a car, and if you have a clown car and you have 10 people in your car, that's how much it costs. But come down and join us. We've got a full field, lots of stuff to see. We've got exhibitors, sponsors, food trucks, you name it. It's a great time.
You can have alligators too.
We do,
We
but
do
we
have
keep,
alligators.
we
We need
keep
that.
our distance.
They're very lazy, though. They move very smooth. I think we can outrun them, but
You just need to outrun Manny. You
yeah,
toss
the,
that.
the gym rat that he is.
You tossed that up for me. You tossed that up for me. Let's talk about Porsche Parade in Birmingham. Phase 1 is open.
Yes, and I think the turnout so far is very good.
Yep.
And the Barber Motorsports Park is right around the corner from there, and I know they're doing stuff with Porsche. And I think if you ever thought about doing the sport driving school, do it at Parade if you're coming to Parade. I'm sure it's filling up, so hopefully I should have checked before I even mentioned this, if those spots are sold out. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the whole event between the drives. We're right across from the convention center where everything's at. It's going to be a fun time. Phase 1 is just getting a hotel room. Then you can prepare for Phase 2, which is
Picking all your events.
that's probably one of like Rolf's training classes. It takes a couple of days, and
I was sitting with the tour chair for Parade, and much like when I went there for a site visit, it's very hard to find a bad road there. The roads in Birmingham, for some reason, are perfectly manicured, and they're beautiful, beautiful roads. We are downtown. We are near, attached to a convention center. We're kind of going to be sort of enclosed to ourselves. The concourse is going to be below a gorgeous overpass, and it's a downtown environment, urban side. Some people are kind of worried about the whole urban
I
thing.
would mention that the concourse is under an overpass because no matter how you paint that, it doesn't sound good.
But it's beautiful. That's the thing, is it is beautiful. You'll be so surprised when you see it, man, especially with the way we'll light it up and such. But yeah, it's obviously Southern food.
When you say light it up, does that mean the concourse at night?
No, but like when you walk by it, I mean, you will walk by that when you go to all the restaurants and all the different things downtown. It's beautiful, and in fact, I was hoping when we first did the site visit that we could do it there, but we normally pick a golf course or some big park. I'm like, man, it would be awesome if we could have it under there, and somehow they got it done. But yeah, it'll be a great time, and hopefully you can join us. And if you can only join us for a day, that day would be Monday. That is open to the public. But every other day for Parade, you have to be registered to come join in all the festivities.
I'm telling everyone to be open on Wednesday because that's going to be Tech Tactics. We're moving it from Friday to Wednesday, and we're merging with the tech sessions that Porsche does a lot of times, and we're going to have one big Tech Tactics day. And I'm very excited that
We can say Tony Hatter
and Grant Larson
will be there,
among others. So it's it's going to be a blast.
And we're expecting, I would say, a significant representation from the Porsche family, which we haven't had in a while.
No.
But being that I may have spoken about this before, but when there's an East Coast parade, it's a bit easier for them to travel through Atlanta, and obviously from Atlanta to Birmingham is maybe not even a 2-hour drive. Yeah, so looking forward to that. We talked about you racing, sim racing at Bathurst, so definitely want to plug in for PCASimRacing.com, one of the fastest growing parts of PCA. I think we're close to 800 active racers now in sim racing. So if you're considering driving on the computer, we can show you how to do that and have some fun.
Do you have to pay a fee to become a sim racer?
No, I think you just sign up.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Next, Charlotte would kill me if I didn't mention all the cool stuff that we have. We've asked her to put together a collection of PCA Insider merch. If you'd like, we've got teas, mugs, and water bottles for you. And did you bring the decals? I think I did for people this weekend.
I did not.
I have a couple, so if they'll hear this after Tech Tactics. But if you want a decal for yourself,
Yeah, come to Tech Tactics.
if you want a decal for yourself, just send an email to podcast@pca.org, and we'll send you out a set. No cost to you. All right. Anything else before we sign off?
No, I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks to Rolf and his staff here for coming in on their day off or weekend to help PCA members learn something. But it's an event that I definitely look forward to every year. And we're going to capture a lot of this stuff. I know Rolf's presentation from last year was very popular. And it doesn't sound like it would be interesting. It was tire geometry, but man, there was a lot of questions.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even when Ralph got done, there people were surrounding him like a little rock star, asking more and more questions about about tire geometry. So the 2 presentations he's doing this weekend, I think, are going to be equally impressive.
And I think that's what I love about Tech Tactics, either East or West or at Parade now, is it's not really a hidden secret anymore, in the sense where it's great that we're hosting well over 250, 300 people per event. But thanks to Robert and Manny and all the staff that prepared for this, we're capturing some of the key moments and sharing it with the world through YouTube later on. So we'll actually reach thousands of people to see some of that cool content. Really, it's to tease them to come. But, if they can't come because they live somewhere else, and we'll never have the opportunity, but they can at least get a flavor of Tech Tactics through YouTube.
So next podcast, we'll have Damon back, and he'll too bad he's not here, because we could see what Rolf thinks about Damon's modified hose for his plenum installation. Yeah, it's a little bit modified.
We'll talk about that over a beer.
We're gonna have him text us some pictures this weekend as he works on it. But more importantly, you got a tour of Singer.
I did.
The automotive imagined by Singer, reimagined. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And you interviewed Rob Dickinson.
Well, actually, Aaron Ambrosino, our president, did.
All right, you filmed it then.
I filmed it.
Right.
I was the videographer. And, we'll talk about that next week. I do, since I'm staring at it, I want to thank Telefunken for providing PCA these microphones and then all the equipment. Robert, thank you for schlepping it up here from PCA National headquarters. Without you, none of this would
Robert,
work.
can you spin your camera around to show you?
Can
Set up
he?
that, because it isn't like a little soundboard, and that's it. It's
There he is.
yeah, he has to schlep all this stuff up in his Honda, and
Thank
more
you,
importantly,
Robert.
set it up, because if he just dropped it off for DeVue and I, we would still be much like the water pump.
Tech Tactics would be over.
Looking up on the internet how to fix this.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, grab that VIN and head over to PCA.org and sign up. If you aren't currently a Porsche owner but want one in your driveway or in your garage, we have the test drive program. Again, PCA.org. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page. See behind-the-scenes photos, videos. Porsche Club Insider, all one word. We love seeing all the messages, the emails, what you're sending over through YouTube. We read it. We'll get to answer it. Again, if you have specific questions about the facility here, about training, we'll ask Rolf to answer that. So anyways, until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.